Breaking right now. Iran just declared victory in the war. Hours later, reports said Trump will decide within 24 hours whether bombing resumes. And the nuclear issue that started the entire war is now officially in deadlock. On Friday, Abbas Araghchi stood before cameras and said something that no Iranian foreign minister has said since the ceasefire was announced 38 days ago. He did not say Iran is still in the war. He did not say Iran is reviewing the American proposal. He did not say Iran wants a serious negotiating partner. He said Iran was the victor in this war. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi claims Iran was the victor in this war and says the country must now be seen as capable of confronting the world's greatest powers. In a video posted to his Telegram channel Friday, Araghchi told state TV that all countries now acknowledge that the Islamic Republic of Iran was the victor in this war. Iran was able to prevent its enemies from achieving their objectives and succeeded in imposing its will. From now on, Iran must be viewed differently as a power capable of confronting the world's greatest powers. The victor. All countries acknowledge it. Capable of confronting the world's greatest powers. This is Iran's foreign minister's public statement on May 16, 2026, day 77 of a war whose hostilities Trump told Congress have terminated, whose ceasefire Trump called massive life support, whose resumed bombing Trump has been threatening daily for 3 weeks. The man who submitted a 14-point peace proposal through Pakistani mediators. The man who flew to Islamabad, Muscat, St. Petersburg, and Beijing. The man who said Iran strongly rejected some American terms, is now saying Iran won. And today, Israeli media is reporting that Trump is expected to decide within 24 hours on possible military action against Iran. Trump is expected to decide within 24 hours on possible military action against Iran, Israeli media reported. As an Israeli official said, renewed fighting may be near 24 hours from today. May 16. The president who said the ceasefire is on massive life support, who said the bombing starts if Iran refuses, who said blast the hell out of them and finish them forever, who said he doesn't think about Americans' financial situation, is expected to decide within 24 hours whether the bombing restarts. And Araghchi, whose country's supreme leader declared Trump unworthy of a response, is on Telegram saying Iran was the victor in the war, whose bombing Trump is deciding whether to resume in 24 hours. These two facts, Araghchi's victor declaration and Trump's 24-hour decision window, exist on the same Friday morning. The distance between them is the distance between the ceasefire that is holding and the resumed bombing that is being decided. And the specific reason they exist simultaneously is documented in the single most important sentence that any Iranian official has said in the entire 77 days of this war. It was said by Araghchi himself in a press conference about the nuclear question that the war was launched to resolve. Iran said it has not reached an agreement with the U.S. on terms for its enrichment of uranium. The subject of our enriched material is a very complicated one, and we have now come to the conclusion with Americans that, since it is very difficult, we are almost in a deadlock on this particular question. Let's postpone this to the later stages of our negotiations, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said in a press conference Friday. A deadlock on the enriched uranium. Araghchi said it himself in a press conference. On the record, almost in a deadlock. Let's postpone this to the later stages. The 99% of it in Trump's own words. The key sticking point when Vance flew home from Islamabad empty-handed. The thing Hegseth said would be taken voluntarily or through resumed strikes like Midnight Hammer. The thing the war was launched on February 28th to eliminate is almost in a deadlock, and Iran's foreign minister is suggesting it be postponed to the later stages. Postponed to later stages by the foreign minister of the country that just declared victory in the war that was launched specifically to prevent the nuclear program that is now in deadlock and being postponed. The circular logic of 77 days of war, 13 American deaths, more than 3,400 Iranian deaths, $29 billion in confirmed war costs climbing toward $1 trillion, $37 billion in American household energy costs, and $4.52 gasoline has produced, a deadlock on enriched uranium and a foreign minister declaring victory while postponing the issue that caused the war. Iran cannot trust the Americans at all. Cannot trust at all. This is the CBS News headline from today, quoting Iranian officials. On the same day, Araghchi declared victory and announced a nuclear deadlock. The country that won the war cannot trust the country it won the war against. The victor cannot trust the defeated. The ceasefire that is holding cannot be converted into an agreement because the side that is declaring victory cannot trust the side that is deciding on bombing in 24 hours. The trust deficit that Ghalibaf identified when he arrived in Islamabad, saying 47 years of American promises have always been met with failure and broken promises, is the same trust deficit that Aragchi is naming today as the reason the nuclear question is in deadlock. The House of Representatives vote on Thursday that produced a tied result is the constitutional moment that defines the Iran war's legal status today, with more precision than any other single event since the War Powers Resolution deadline passed on May 1st. House fails to adopt Iran War Powers Resolution in a tied vote. The House of Representatives, the chamber that holds the power of the purse and the authority to declare war under Article 1 of the United States Constitution, voted on a resolution to require Trump to obtain congressional authorization for the war that is now 77 days old. And the vote was tied. Not failed by a large margin. Not passed. Tied. Every member who voted yes believes the president is conducting an unauthorized war that has cost $29 billion and killed 13 Americans and must stop or be authorized. Every member who voted no believes the president has the authority to continue. And the result is a tie that leaves the war exactly where it was before the vote, authorized by no one, terminated per Trump's letter to Congress, on massive life support per Trump's Truth Social, and about to be decided on within 24 hours per Israeli media. The specific military context in which Trump's 24-hour decision is being made is documented in the IRGC's most recent operational demonstration. Members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps participated in a military exercise aimed at increasing combat capabilities in Tehran province, Iran, on May 12, 2026. Increasing combat capabilities 4 days before Trump's expected 24-hour decision. The IRGC that has been on full standby, that has given a 30-day ultimatum, that has fired on American warships and denied it, that has seized commercial vessels, that has attacked Kuwait, UAE, and Cyprus, is conducting military exercises aimed at increasing combat capabilities this week. The ceasefire is the period during which both sides are simultaneously negotiating a peace proposal and conducting military exercises to prepare for the war's resumption. China is showing growing unease over the economic and strategic costs of Iran's confrontation with the United States, even as it continues to shield Tehran diplomatically at the United Nations. Growing unease. The Beijing summit that produced status quo on Iran and the joint statement that both sides agreed Hormuz must be open and Iran can never have nuclear weapons has produced, 3 days after the summit ended, a characterization of Chinese growing unease about the war's economic and strategic costs. China absorbed 80% of Iran's oil in 2025. China's exporters are suffering more from the Hormuz closure than from American tariffs. China's anti-sanction law was invoked to defy American-Iran sanctions, and China is experiencing growing unease about the costs. The growing unease is not a diplomatic commitment. It is not a mechanism for pressuring Iran. It is a Chinese internal calculation that the war's continuation is beginning to cost China more than the war's resolution would cost China. Growing unease is the point before action. Whether that point produces Chinese pressure on Iran before Trump's 24-hour decision produces bombing is the question that today, May 16th, does not yet have an answer to. The Lebanon dimension reached a specific threshold on Friday that connects directly to Iran's victor declaration and the nuclear deadlock. The April 16th cessation of hostilities will be extended by 45 days to enable further progress. The State Department will reconvene the political track of negotiations on June something. 45 days? The Israel-Lebanon ceasefire extended by 45 days after 2 days of talks in Washington that did not include Hezbollah. The extension runs through the end of June, past the Hajj that begins May 25th into the summer. And Hezbollah, whose fighters are conducting daily attacks on Israeli forces, whose leader told Lebanon to cancel the Washington talks, whose rockets killed Israeli soldiers this week, was not in the room where its ceasefire was extended by 45 days. Aragchi claimed Iran was the victor in this war and says the country must now be seen as capable of confronting the world's greatest powers. Iran was able to prevent its enemies from achieving their objectives and succeeded in imposed its will. The foreign minister of the country whose oil storage tanks had 12 to 22 days of capacity. The foreign minister of the country whose inflation is above 50%. The foreign minister of the country whose internet has been blacked out for 77 days. The foreign minister of the country whose minimum wage has fallen below $90. The foreign minister of the country whose people said every single day of delay is a matter of life and death, is saying Iran imposed its will on the world's greatest powers. From a position of 50% inflation and blacked out internet and 93 million people who cannot see global news about the war their government says it won, the 24-hour decision window, the nuclear deadlock, Araghchi's victor declaration, the tied House vote, China's growing unease, and the Lebanon ceasefire's 45-day extension are the 6 simultaneous developments of May 16, 2026, that define where day 77 of the Iran war stands at this moment. Trump will decide on bombing or not bombing within 24 hours. The nuclear question is in deadlock and being postponed to later stages. Iran's foreign minister says Iran won. The House tied on war authorization. China is growing uneasy. Lebanon's ceasefire is extended 45 days without Hezbollah present. The Hajj begins in 9 days. Gas is $4.52. The war costs $29 billion and is climbing toward $1 trillion. The American household has paid $284 since February 28th. And Araghchi is on Telegram telling state television that all countries now acknowledge Iran was the victor. Whether Trump's 24-hour decision produces bombing or a new diplomatic framework or another extension of the ceasefire that is on massive life support is the question that today, May 16th, cannot be answered until the 24 hours expire. What can be answered today is this. The war that was launched to prevent Iran from having nuclear weapons has produced a nuclear deadlock that Iran's foreign minister is postponing to later stages while declaring victory. The war that cost $29 billion and is heading toward $1 trillion has a tied House vote on whether it was ever authorized. And the man who will decide within 24 hours whether the bombing resumes is the man who said he doesn't think about Americans' financial situation when he negotiates. Subscribe. Enable notifications. Share this today, Friday, May 16th, before Trump's 24-hour decision window closes and we find out whether Araghchi's victor declaration was the opening statement of a new phase of Iranian diplomacy or the last statement before the bombing that Trump has been threatening daily for 3 weeks restarts at a higher level and intensity than before. We document every verified contradiction between what is declared and what is decided. Drop your answers below. Every comment is read. The best analysis is featured. Question A. Araghchi declared Iran the victor in the war on Friday while simultaneously announcing a nuclear deadlock and proposing to postpone the enriched uranium question to later negotiating stages. Trump is expected to decide on resumed bombing within 24 hours. The war was launched specifically to eliminate the nuclear program that is now in deadlock. The ceasefire is on massive life support. If the victor of a war is the side that prevented the other side from achieving its objectives, and if the American objective was eliminating Iran's nuclear capability and the nuclear question is now in deadlock being postponed to later stages, is Araghchi's victor declaration factually accurate by the standard of whether American war objectives were achieved? And what does that mean for Trump's 24-hour decision on whether to resume bombing to achieve the objectives that 77 days of war did not achieve? Question B. The House tied on the War Powers Resolution. The Senate previously rejected it. The war is 77 days past its War Powers Resolution deadline per the letter Trump sent to Congress. The nuclear question is in deadlock. The ceasefire is on massive life support. China is growing uneasy but still shielding Iran at the UN. The Lebanon ceasefire was extended 45 days without Hezbollah. Gas is $4.52. The war cost $29 billion heading to $1 trillion. American households paid $284. Trump decides on bombing in 24 hours without congressional authorization because the House tied and the Senate said no. If Trump resumes bombing without authorization after a tied House vote explicitly on this question, what is the specific constitutional mechanism available to Congress to stop an unauthorized resumed bombing campaign against a country whose foreign minister just declared victory over the United States? Question C. China is growing uneasy about the war's economic costs. Araghchi declared Iran the victor. The nuclear question is in deadlock. The Hajj begins in 9 days. The Lebanon ceasefire runs 45 more days. The IRGC conducted combat readiness exercises this week. Trump decides on bombing in 24 hours. Israeli media says renewed fighting may be near. Iran cannot trust the Americans at all. If Trump decides to resume bombing and the bombing restarts before the Hajj on May 25th, with Iranian IRGC at full combat readiness and China growing uneasy, and the nuclear question in Deadlock and Aragchi on Telegram saying Iran won, what is the specific diplomatic and military outcome that resumed bombing produces in days 1 through 10, that's 77 days of the most intensive American air campaign since 2003, did not produce? And is that outcome available through bombing that was not available through the $29 billion of bombing that preceded the deadlock?